Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Chilling Neigh Podcast, your premier VGC podcast. My name is Rashil, aka Kongalong, and I'm joined by Ryan, aka Sableye, and Mr. Tommy Hayden. What is up, guys?
Awkward silence.
I'm waiting for you to talk, Ryan.
I'm not
so happy
talking.
to
I was
be
waiting
here.
for you to talk.
I was waiting for you to talk. No, I'm so happy to see you guys. I look forward to this every 2 weeks whenever we record. I hope the audience does too. And yeah, we're gonna have a fun one. We were having a lot of fun pre-recording, just shooting the crap and having fun. So I'm excited for this one.
Me too, me too. All right, let's dive right into it. So we had a Utrecht special event the past weekend, and congrats to Nikhil Reddy for winning with Articuno, Cantonian Articuno. Absolutely coming out of, I mean, just first of all, congrats on his first huge win. He's been an amazing player online for so long, and I think he hasn't been able to make it out to a ton of live events, but has done well at the ones he's been, and obviously this was his crowning achievement so far. And I think he did it on his birthday too, which was, I mean, must have been just an awesome. So happy birthday to him, and congrats. So I mean, let's just get on into it. I mean, first of all, thoughts on snow winning, and is it going to continue to snow in Vancouver? Is the question.
Okay,
Ice, baby.
no. This is Articuno, Ninetales, Alolan, Ogerpon, Arcanine, Hisui, Landorus, Incarnate, and Raging Bolt. For those of you that do not know the team, but I'm sure at this point you've seen somebody play this on ladder. If you are listening to this podcast, I'm sure at this point you've seen this team. But I as much as I hate to say that it's a one-off, it's not going to be a one-off because of the fact that, like, when you have elements pushed in your favor, you are going to get things going your way eventually. If you play a very, very slow, stally team like the P2 Ting Lu thing, Sheer Cold, if you're able to click 6 or 7 Sheer Colds in a game, you're going to hit 2 or 3 of them, right? Like, over time, this team, the more you spam these blizzards, the more you click these Sheer Colds, the longer you're on the field with Snowcloak. These things are working in your favor. Right?
Yes.
So I'm not trying to call it a gimmick team. However, there are a bunch of gimmicks on this team, like that Snowcloak, like the double blizzard with a potential freeze, like the sheer cold. But you get those things, and the more you're able to click it, especially the way the meta had shaped up until now, the more you're able to click it behind Aurora Veil and stuff like that, the more they're gonna swing into your favor. Now, obviously, the team is still really, really strong, right? It still functions really well with Ogerpon, Arcanine, Lando, Raging Bolt, right? You still have your pieces, but then you have this other mode that's basically, let's just swing things into my favor. So it's actually really cool to see. I'm not a huge fan of the team, in case you couldn't tell by the way I've been talking about it. But, I mean, it is cool to see where you have that kind of, like, that balance mode, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, what if we just, like, swung other games into our favor with, like, the snow stuff? And it's cool. I just can't see it being consistent. Like, the moment somebody has a weather setter on the other side, that entire snow mode is now, I don't want to say gone, but it's a lot harder to set off.
Oh, but with the Raging Bolts meta right now, the Torn Weather games have lowered. Like,
So
that's a
so
fact.
show me sand.
Yeah,
I was playing
I was
with
gonna say,
I was playing with Excadrill on stream the other day. That thing was surprisingly good. Now, I'm not saying everybody needs to be... Go ahead.
This guy is an awesome player. He's a killer on the Pokemon court. He had a team that abused the meta right now. We were talking about how the meta slowed down.
Absolutely.
Meta slowing down is the perfect time. And did you see his interview on... I was watching in the background. I heard him say, I'm not as good as Poke Alex, so I had to, like, abuse, like, the team. May I help a team carry me? And I was like, oh my god, that might not be a real, like, the exact quote. That's a gist. I was like, this dude's awesome. Like, he's like, self-awareness is huge in my mind. And, like, being self-aware enough to say, I need a team that's going to help carry me through this tournament. And abusing the meta. Rillaboom, Amoonguss. Even Incin is not great into this team right here. You know, like, what's it called? The Raging Bolt meta we just talked about. That thing doesn't want to take blizzards. There's teams going around with no safe ice switch-ins that are all neutral or weak to ice. If you don't have Fire Pond, some of these teams just get abused by this blizzard mode. And it just was a perfect whirlwind of a talented player taking a team that abused the meta, and we could see what happens when this happens. And he was able to win because, the talent with the meta abusing team. Again, we were just talking about how the meta slowed down last time. I was like, these tours are taking longer. All the tours, the rounds are taking longer for a reason. And, like, being able to see that, adjust to it, and, like, take advantage is something really cool to see. But that's why I don't think this team is going away anytime soon. Even if it does get counter-teamed, it's not easily, like, if you sit there and hit Blizzard 4 times, like Ryan said, you're going to get the freeze. But with all those different RNG, like, different things adding up, so there's crazy turns capable of happening that could swing games immediately in your favor. And that's why it's not going away, like Ryan said. I feel like I just repeated Ryan at the end there.
No, it's
but he
all
couldn't have said it better. No, like, you couldn't have said it better, though. Because
it's what it is. It's like the sleep powder. It's the sleep powder theorem, though, right? Like, why does sleep powder consistently become good through metagames over time and time again? It's if I am in a bad spot, I can click sleep powder and buy myself turns. It's a get out of jail free card. Same with the sheer cold. It's a get out of jail free card, right? I'm pretty sure. I mean, obviously, I didn't watch much of Utrecht, but I am pretty confident. You don't walk. Your game plan with this team is not to walk in and click sheer cold. I'm pretty confident you are clicking sheer cold only when the situation says, I really have nothing else in this scenario. Let's see if I can pull this one back. That's when you're clicking sheer cold with this team, right? So, okay, yeah, people get annoyed. It's like the Tinglu fissure, right? It's like, it gets a little annoying over time, but you have it.
The same thing. You can't leave it alone, though. You can't
if you ignore it and all of a sudden it starts stacking it, it's going to be a problem. It's just one of those teams where you have the way to get out of a potential troublesome situation. And I think because of that, it's pretty strong. But I don't know. I just can't see it. Like, it's going to stick around, but I can't see it sticking around with the same success. Let me put it that way.
Oh, dude. Wait, I want to talk about how one-hit KO moves are fun. And I used them in Hartford and got extremely punished, though. Because I had Torkoal with Fissure, and I was the choice specs, and I had a Ranguru on the team. I was using Fissure, Instruct, Fissure, and I went 1 for 12.
Okay.
And I got very punished. So don't rely on one KO moves to get you out of jail free, because all 4 of my losses were like I was spamming the Fissure. I was like, let's.
Tom, you said this was Hartford, right?
Yes.
Okay, so really fun story. I'm 2-0 at Hartford at this point, okay? And this is completely irrelevant, trust me. And I sit down at the table, my opponent walks up, and I'm going to be honest, I don't remember what their name was. But they sit down, and we're like, okay, we start talking, whatever. We start playing. I look at the team sheet, and I look down, and I'm like, that has a fissure, that has a fissure, that has a fissure, and they have an Oranguru. They had triple fissure plus Oranguru on a hard Trick Room team. And I'm sitting there going, I am in trouble. Because, like, if they're eventually going to hit him, what am I going to do? I cannot tell you how happy I was that I had brought Terra Flying T-Tar to that event. You guys do not understand how happy I was to have Terra Flying T-Tar at that event because I would have been cooked. Thankfully, they didn't hit that many fissures, but that was terrifying.
I went 1 for 12. So, yeah, hopefully they had more success than I did.
You guys compared the Articuno to Tinglu, but I want to give a little bit of a different comp for the team. So I feel like I feel like it plays more like Grimmsnarl a little bit, where it's okay, I'm gonna set up screens and then I'm gonna T-Wave spam, introduce RNG, and so like okay, I can Blizzard spam, introduce freeze and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
It's not necessarily going for that fissure, right? The fissure Tinglu stuff is okay, you're not clicking fissure all the time. You're clicking fissure like a fair amount. You know, like it was like okay, against like really bulky teams, like, you can afford to just kind of fissure a little bit. The sheer cold, like so there was a matchup where it was very clear that the game plan for this team was to go in and click sheer cold, and that was the Registeel matchup, and it worked. Because I just couldn't hit it, right? Like there was screens, and like it's like you have to worry about the evasion, right? First of all, just trying to hit Articuno in the first place, and then you have a snow defense boost. You have Aurora Veil up, and Articuno has some good natural bulk, and it's just hard to remove that thing, and then the sheer colds were just landing. But that's not what it is most of the time. Most of the time it's just coming in and spamming Blizzard, right? But Articuno being bulky behind those screens, behind that snow defense boost, and introducing RNG into the game with those potential freezes and stuff like that, with those invasion boosts, just being annoying. It's a little bit of like, okay, here's a balanced team with like a go mode, but like also we're gonna make it so that RNG can be more in my favor than my opponent's favor.
Yep.
And like the nice thing about that is like, sure, like T Wave is okay, it's gonna be guaranteed you're gonna get para, but you're not sure you're gonna get the full para, whatever it is. Blizzards in snow, always landing, hitting on both targets, and it has a chance to freeze every single time, right? Like that's something that's got to be really scary for the opponent. And then the snow buff this generation with that +1
It's a
defense
big
boost,
difference.
I think has done
It's a big
wonders for
difference.
Mm-hmm.
like snow teams. It is so good how good that like I mean just Alola Ninetales itself is hard to get rid of. Like in a Dark Urshifu meta, like with that snow defense boost, you're not doing anything with Wicked Blow, and close combat is not doing enough, right? So like it's just I think it's a very smart team with like okay like if you're gonna have a rain mode, if you're facing against a rain team, you have that Raging Bull, right? Now it's interesting like okay, and then there's like you can go a little bit more of that balance mode with Auroraville, with Hisuian Arcanine, with Raging Bull, and like again, no fire types really want to face down against Hisuian Arcanine, like the Ogerpon Fires, like Incineroar, stuff like that. So I think really smart team building, but at the same time, I
Yeah.
agree with Ryan that I don't like I think there is a lot that has to go this way. Like I think this was the right time for this team in the current state of the meta. But now that this team has won, I don't think it's one of those teams that's okay. Like you can bring this to any event regardless of the meta, and it's gonna do well. Like it, I think if the meta starts to shift, like I think I saw some people exploring Sun. I mean, I think even T-Tar could potentially work on
Mm-hmm.
this kind of like as a counter. So like I think, and obviously there was like rain dance teams around. We'll see how prevalent that stays. That was Toller's team and Edu team like that had that rain dance torn next to Ogerpon and Goldango, right? Like that doesn't seem like the greatest matchup for this team. I'm sure they have their lines both of them each way, but there's ways to deny the kind of things that this team wants to do. So I think like it's a strong team, but I agree. I don't see this like winning. Excuse me, winning Vancouver.
Yeah.
I want to call a timeout.
Okay.
What do you think the next best weather like? What is the current best competitive weather setter? Is it Ninetales right now because it just won a regional? But we have T-Tar, Torkoal, Ninetales Kanto, Ninetales Alola, Abomasnow, Politoed, and Pelipper. Right? I'm not missing any of them.
Hippowdon.
For pranks, Hippowdon's in the game?
Yeah.
Didn't know that. So we have 8 weather setters. And
Well,
Bro's bullying my boy Hippowdon. What the hell?
so we know that one's not the best. I would say Abomasnow and Torkoal aren't the best in comparison to the other ones either. Ninetales Kanto isn't the best.
It's
Politoed isn't the best.
it's probably
That
Pelipper.
would leave T-Tar, Ninetales A.
It's Pelipper.
It's Pelipper.
It's Pelipper. Like the
interesting.
thing is, you have to look at what's good right now, and right now Sand just isn't that good. Is T-Tar a very strong Pokemon? Absolutely. The problem is with T-Tar, it's finding a team to actually put it on where it's actually going to function, and more often than not, with that T-Tar, you want to pair it with that Sand Abuser, right? Whether it's the Lycanroc, the Excadrill, like I did on stream the other night, but like the
Shout
problem.
out Lorenzo. I want to shout out Lorenzo. He got top 4 to New Jersey MSS. T-Tar, Corviknight, Garchomp.
Yeah,
It's a sand abuser,
right,
just like
right.
you're saying.
Absolutely.
That's
You
the
want that sand
All-Star
abuser. You want something to abuse the sand. And unfortunately, right now, if I have a T-Tart and something to abuse the sand, a lot of the times the stuff that abuses the sand ends up stacking a lot of weaknesses that you don't really like in this metagame. Like, if I'm running T-Tar Excadrill, what am I doing versus Lando I, right? If I'm running T-Tar Lycanroc, I mean, yes, okay, I click Rock Slide and I pray for flinches because that's everybody's favorite part of the game, right? Click Rock Slide and pray for flinches. But it's the stacking of the weaknesses that are just sometimes difficult to get out of, that with the sand mode that feels a little ugly about it. And and if you don't have the way to abuse sand, you just kind of have sand, and it's like, oh, cool, I have sand, right? Like it doesn't really, okay, cool, you break some sashes, but you also mess with maybe your focus sash, right? Like it's weird. So I don't think T-Tar's in it. I think it's just Pelipper. If you're looking for a next best weather setter, it's Pelipper.
Unc, I have this question for you. Why do you think that Pelipper is so much better than Politoed? Because one has a single type that's one of the best defensive types, and then one of them adds that flying type. Like, why is Pelipper able to shine more than Politoed in your opinion?
Yeah. Okay, so I'll touch on that, and then I want to disagree with on the best weather setter. But I think Pelipper is
Perfect.
better because I think Pelipper is better than Politoed because, like, kind of see what I was referring to. When you build these like weather teams, a lot of times you're building teams that have multiple of the same type. Like it's multiple ice types on snow, multiple rock types or ground types, whatever it is on sand, um, and then multiple water types on rain. And so having a water type that is neutral to grass can hit it for super effective.
That's the
Also,
big.
developer gets tailwind,
Tailwind.
right? And so that's really nice. And then wide guard has seen usage as well. So I think that's why Pelipper is better than Politoed. Um, but I'm
What
gonna
do
have
you
to
think?
disagree on the overall weather setter because and actually I wanted to. I think it's interesting. I was looking at the day two stats for weather setters here, and so we have a Whimsicott. I think with actually no, the Whimsicott didn't have manual sunny day, but that is a weather setter
Oh, whoa,
potentially.
whoa, 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 time out. We're opening this up to manual setters.
I
Yeah, so torn. So
I
well,
didn't know we were
I'll
opening this up
disagree.
to
I think
manual weather
I'll
setters.
disagree.
Hold on a
We're
second.
playing a
Not
different game
manual.
now, Mr. Conkle Dunk.
Wait, no, even if it's not manual though, I still think it's Ninetales. I still think it's Ninetales because not because it's just one, but I think more because it has access to screens.
Yes,
It's fast and
that's fair.
it is good against Urshifu
Fairy
Dark.
type is good right now.
And actually
Yeah,
both Urshifus,
it
honestly.
is in a good
But
spot right now.
yeah, I think like the biggest thing is like they were saying when you run one of these weather teams, you kind of want to run some like abuser of that weather. With Ninetales, Ninetales can be like there's so the other Ninetales team that did well was actually Life Orb Ninetales on its own. There was no I don't believe there was another
There was not, no.
abuser.
No.
There was Qian Pao, but like
Yeah.
not a real like snow abuser or anything like that. And
That's funny. Yeah,
so
that's funny.
yeah, it's so like the thing is Ninetales can function kind of solo, whereas the other ones like Pelipper on a team without like some sort of rain abuser feels bad, like
Yeah.
in my opinion. And like same with what's it called?
T-Tar.
T-Tar. T-Tar can function on its own because it has like it's just like the sand
Yeah.
feels like kind of
It's
like
just a
okay,
good mon
it's
with
benefiting.
sand.
The weird thing is like the sand also has like some anti synergy on your own. Like if you have a Sashmon, that's suddenly like not a
Yeah.
really good viable. You can't really run a Sashmon anymore. You have to run like you feel more inclined to run a Gogglesmon. So like there's some weird stuff there. Um, I think what's really underexplored is Torkoal. I think like right now, like Sun teams, like there was a couple weeks ago that Wolf ran like some online tour with
Executor.
Sun team and like Raging Bolt in Sun was just like I was
Mm-hmm.
watching that stream and that thing was like it was Magnet and then it has the Proto Boost, Terra Electric, like Thunderclaps, Thunderbolts and stuff like that. And like it was next to Friggraff, so you could go for helping hands and stuff like that. And the Torkoal I think had helping hand too. Yeah, so
Yeah.
crazy damage and like it was like really good against like the I mean at the time the stuff was like okay Toller I think Toller just won and so it was the Torn the Ogerpon Waters which are still very popular mons
Very good.
Urshifu's like I feel like Torkoal has a place with especially with in a meta where Fluttermane and Raging Bull are good like Photosynthesis activation is
It's
going to be
so
good.
good.
It's just like when you run Torkoal, you feel like you have to run a soft trigger mode at the minimum usually. Like it feels like something like that unless you're running like a chlorophyll, like if back in the jump pluff, you can run Tailwind or whatever it is, or Lily Cole, which I don't love, but
I
um,
love it. I love Lily Cole right now,
I
actually,
think
too.
like I think like Torkoal with like and I don't know if Walking Wake is good or not. I really haven't used it much. I know it hasn't seen a ton of success, but I've seen like some people like testing it to
And you used a
some
good team,
decent
I thought.
success. So I think like Sun has a place, especially with Snow just winning. I feel like Sun has a potential to come in and be that next weather that does really well.
Can we discuss? Sorry, real quickly. We're gonna get off weather, guys, soon. I promise. But can we
Yeah,
discuss the fact that there were 4 Ninetales in top 16?
Yeah, that's
but
what I
they're
mean. It's a good Pokemon.
Like, hello? Like,
I
why?
think it just
yeah.
abused the meta. Dude, Rillaboom, Raging Bull.
Oh,
It's not
absolutely. I
bad
think
if
it's
you-
really good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like
it's-
questioning it, but like, it's one of those. This reminds me a lot of that regulation, the one regulation A regional we had, where out of nowhere, Paldean Tauros just swept the tournament. It's just like, where was this thing? It
With
was
that
nowhere. All of a
mirror.
sudden, Paldean Tauros. It's very similar to this. It's like, the thing was nowhere. Boom, Alolan Ninetales. Let's get some games going.
Well, so even there was a regional in a earlier series. Maybe it was Reg E or something. I remember Raghav did really well with Snow. Like there was a little there was a regional where Snow
Excalibur.
Yeah, back to Caliber
was good.
Snow, yeah.
With backs and stuff like that, and then it dropped off. Like it did really well for that regional, and then it didn't
Yeah.
really do anything until just now. So like I do think that like there's level of like, okay, there's a time in the meta where like ice type coverage is actually really strong. Like Lando Eye and Raging Bolt right now, like Raging Bolt's one of the best mons easily, and then Lando Eye is like everyone's using that as their counter, right? To Raging Bolt,
I
or
think it's
at
top
least
3
trying
mon.
it. What's that?
I think it's like one of the top mons right now.
Yeah, yeah. So like ice type like damage was just so good, and like I think
Yep.
people like certain people realized it and capitalized on it, but I think now people are gonna have like their checks to this, and like that's where it's gonna be like, okay, there's also a lot of downsides to have like having multiple ice types. Like ice types have been bad in VGC for a reason, and like having multiple of them on them doesn't. And I mean, like Articuno was Terra Ice, so it's not like you had a defensive Terra
Yep.
either. Like it's just like if you get your blizzards, if you get your RNG your way, that's awesome too. And like, or if the team doesn't have answers, like your opposing doesn't have answers to it, then it can do really well. But if they start to have some answers for it, I think it can fold fairly quickly if the person doesn't know how to like pilot it super well, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, completely fair. Also, can we discuss, I think, something that, like, one of the storylines that I think is just going to not be talked about enough? But
Fuck.
are we going to talk about the second place run of going 14-0 between both days of Swiss into 16-0 making it to finals just to lose to Snow?
It's crazy, and I believe that's his. Was that his second time getting second in this season? I believe.
I
Yo, he's been
believe that's
kicking ass.
it's Aurelian, right? Is Aurelian? Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
really. I
Sula,
believe so.
Soula, I believe.
I believe that's their
Yeah.
second place this season, and it's
Yeah.
incredible though. The consistency from them has been absolutely incredible.
Their
And
player, yes.
Absolutely
14-0 day,
It-
14-0 Swiss is nothing to laugh at.
incredible.
It's not going to be talked
Incredible.
about.
Look at
but
that
it
over
should be.
here, Andrew Ding, right?
Yep. It's
And
not
then
going to
what
get
did
talked
Ding
about
do?
because they got
Okay.
second place. Everybody coming out of this regional is, oh, Snow. But why aren't we talking about
Yeah.
a 14-0 regional run? Why are we not talking about this?
Incredible. Incredible run, and they won game one, so it was really like
Yeah,
it was.
they
it was
were
right
like
there.
a game away from doing it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's
Really good, really
like-
cool team, by the way. Terra, Steel, Rillaboom, like, hello.
With Protect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Miracle Seed because it's AV Raging Bolt, but and then Taunt on Landorus instead of like a substitute or a Sandseer.
I think that's
Um,
really, really cool. It's a really good call.
Yeah, I think like manual taunt like with Ferrograph and stuff like that, people have realized that that's like actually really nice. And then I think one of the things is it's follow me on Ogerpon, Hearthflame and stuff like something like a sword stance, but just a really good like complete opposite, not complete opposite end of the spectrum, but like a very like it looks like six really basic mons when you look at it, but like some unique sets and then just in a master piloting it, like
Yep.
what a strong team, right? Like just absolutely and what a strong player piloting it to an undefeated run and almost and like something that shouldn't go ignored at all.
Exactly. Needed to be mentioned. We got, of course, Dozo sneaking into top 8 as well. We're not
I was
gonna,
gonna say
we're gonna brush over that one. We're gonna not talk about that. I shouldn't have brought it up.
2-2-2 is back. I don't know. I mean, the only Dozo in day 2, I believe, but I mean 2-2-2 all the way to top 8. I don't know. It's having me thinking if for UIC if I should bring it back. We'll see. But that was
Well, honestly, like, you could pilot
that
it
was fun to see.
well into most teams, like in most players. So it's like if you know that, you just got to pick the right Terra type on Dozo.
Yeah.
Hope
That's
you win the
that's
match
literally
with
it. You need to pick the right set on Dozo, and if you get the right set on Dozo for that one tournament and the matchups that you happen to play, it's a decent team. Like, and
Or
it's
any
very
meta,
similar.
I would say.
like anytime you have a piece that can just set up so fast and be able to actually like sweep through teams, anytime you have the ability to do that, you're going to inherently be able to win games if you can get your calls right, if you know how to pilot it well, right? The question is, to what extent are you going to get that? Now, obviously, there's a little bit of needing to play well involved in that. There's a little bit of needing to get the right matchups as well. But if you get them, you are absolutely laughing with Dondozo, and it's one of those. It's another one of those mons that the less people are preparing for Dondozo, the better Dondozo becomes. It's a lot of things like that as well. Sometimes like people forget about Psy Spam, and out of nowhere, boom, Psy Spam is like, oh my goodness, it's back. It's the best thing it's the best thing ever. It's not really, but people just kind of forgot that it was. People just kind of forgot it existed, right? So all of a sudden it's like, you forgot about me. You're not prepping for me. Boom, surprise, I'm back. Hope you didn't miss me too much, because I'm back, and they last for a tournament and then they're gone.
Yeah, I might try out my Armorage Dozo Lilycole team tomorrow on the train.
Oh no.
And
I
just
was
see
gonna
how
say,
that
put
works.
the Armorage away. It was the only size spam that made it in day 2 was Iron
Harry.
Crown size spam.
Put
So,
get it out of here. Get the Armorage out of here.
unfortunately, is not the call anymore. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I think like we're also seeing a bit of like where we like at the earlier stages of this format, like we were seeing like everyone putting hyper importance on Furgraph to block priority, and now that's kind of like gone down quite a bit, and
Just
priority
disappeared.
spam has been picking up, and
Yeah,
slowly I think Furgraph is becoming like, and priority blocking
better
is
and
becoming
better.
undervalued. So I think that's going to be an interesting thing to watch out for Vancouver.
Yeah, it'll be
Where
interesting to
is the
see.
cycle?
Because this
Where
is
on the
what
wheel?
happens, right? This is one of the first
Yeah.
times in a long time we've had a meta go into the third and fourth month, right? Like the last few times it's been chopped down rather early. I think, Conk, that's a very good point. We're starting to see that cycle right now, right? And it's,
Yeah.
Farigiraf, okay, like priority spam was amazing. Farigiraf was everywhere because of it. All of a sudden, the priority spam went off. Now Farigiraf is slowly creeping off. Is Prio Spam coming back? Is Prio Spam going to creep back into this and just start punishing teams again?
Yeah.
This is what happens though, right? And this is the cycle of the meta. It's just going to be what it's going to be.
It's interesting. I have to point it out. We were robbed of a Iron Boulder making top 8, just bubbling in at 9th, but
Boo.
choice banded Iron Boulder with Mighty Cleave, Close Combat, Psycho Cut, and Earthquake. Next to Okidogi, Grimmsnarl Screens, Roaring Moon, Goldango. Crazy team.
It's a fun mod.
I wish we got to
Wait,
see
want to
that.
hear a funny subplot of this team?
Let's hear
So
it.
you guys know Swamp on Twitter?
Yes.
Yep.
So they tweeted out the 6 I've been using for a while now, that Moltres, Grimmsnarl, Annihilate team.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Yeah.
dude running this team replied, "How does this tweet have so many likes? I was running a way cooler team and did better at the event. And now to see this team do well, I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, this is the team he was talking about.
So
Oh
funny.
my god."
It's cool. Iron Boulder is one of those mons that it just has everything that it wants to have going for it, and then you look at it and you go, Rock Psychic. Yeah, we'll put this in the garbage. It just
Yo, I
doesn't
think
do anything. It just
Terrabug is a
there are
good
so many
on it.
better typings it could have been other than Psychic. But you know what? It's a cool mod. It's got some stats.
Yeah, I mean they're using it as just a nuke. It's like Terra Rock with Mighty Cleave, like
Well,
banded
yeah,
Mighty Cleave. So
why not?
see
Its
but
best feature is the fact that you can't stop Mighty Cleave with a protect, so
yeah.
might as well commit to it.
Also, super cool. The Okidogi is AV with upper hand
That's
and
fun.
drain punch, and I think that's a
pretty
really
fun.
cool
It's
tech as well.
Okidogi is in theory the best upper hand setter.
In theory. I think it's in practice after 9th place, right? Is it?
Well,
Can we say that?
I would argue Raichu. No, same way.
hey, Raichu's got a top 4 under its belt. No, but
I mean-
it's definitely just Okidogi. Yeah, to read know that result means so much more.
I think that's the first time I've seen Okidogi, or not Okidogi, upper hand on a
Doing well.
like a regional team that actually did well. Like that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Mhm.
It is. I had it on Gallade for a bit, and I liked it in the Trick Room matchup when I could stop the partner from getting fake outed and wasting a turn of Trick Room on all the switch-ins. But Wide Guard
Yeah.
was just infinitely better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense. Okay, cool. I wanted to switch focus a little bit. Tommy, I know you want to talk a little bit about locals. So, and you had a really cool
Yo,
story that you
I've
were.
been having so much fun at locals. So I'm doing a little speculating here. I used to go on by Nostradamus on Twitter instead of Nostradamus. You know, like Nostradamus. Let me put my little theory time
I like
cap
that.
on. And I think we're having an East Coast Worlds next year because Worlds was in London in 22. It was in Japan in 23. Hawaii in 24. Leaked for San Francisco in 26. I think it's an East Coast 25. I'm calling it now. So I said, I'm having so much fun playing at locals. There's like, let me go look at the Play Pokemon website. And I went to the Play Pokemon website and I saw there's so many more TCG events. There's only one place that does locals on Long Island, that does video game locals. So I started calling the places that do TCG events, and one of them is having an event on Monday now, and they're going to try to get sanctioned for this season. Another one I'm meeting with tomorrow, they're going to try to do the same. They already have their video game judge thing, but they don't know how to do events. They said logistically it's going to be hard for us to set up, and I said I could talk you through it, and I could easily like show you how we do it. It's very easy. You don't need Switch docks. You just tell players to bring their Switch and just give us an outlet. We're good.
Give us an outlet, literally. Give
Yeah,
us one outlet.
Where are the outlets? They said, like, so I'm going to check out that place. And then, oh no, actually, that's not even the place. The place I'm going to check out, they have a full Smash setup, and they have a full stream capability with caster capability. They have a
That's cool.
spot where we could have casters and a full stream setup. Like, I, and they both might have PCs this season for the next quarter. So they both might get an MSS in the next quarter if they get started this
Oh,
month.
dang.
So I would encourage every local player, if you have the time, to look up places near you that do TCG events and not VG events. And call up the TO and say, hey, why aren't you doing VG events? And the answer is going to be, we don't have time on our schedule. We don't have enough room. We don't know how. If it's we don't know how, it's easily solvable. And just show them locals in your area. I said, hey, in West Babylon, the only place that does it, they have between 6 and 26 every PC. I could show you the numbers. Brookland, the next one, we just had 43 people show up and paid $20 venue fee, like for a PC. So there's absolutely a need for it in our area. And yeah, it's really cool to try to have an impact on your local area. So I want to encourage everyone that listens to do that in their local area if they have the time.
Yeah.
And let's try to get more VG events and really raise the floor of the American players around America, or even wherever you are. Do it where if in Canada too.
Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
Canada.
Get more events in your area because there's a lot of trading card. The trading card game is just bigger than us. We have to admit that. We see it by the numbers.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more weekly events going on, and we're only once a month. So these stores could fit us in once a month. And even weeknight PCs aren't bad for Worlds players or people that want to go to Worlds. If you can make time for a 6 p.m. PC,
Even
on
like
a Monday
people that
night
work
after
on
work-
weekends though, right? Like I know a
Yeah,
bunch of people,
exactly.
like I've met people through this community that be like, I can't make it out to locals because they're always on weekends. Like
So now
I
these,
just work
they're
weekends.
like, these card stores are like, hey, we might have to do weeknights. And I'm like, perfect. Like I won't be able to make every single one,
No,
but
you
it's
won't,
better
and-
than nothing.
But
It's better than no tournament at all.
right, and I think that takes a lot of pressure off because what I love about locals is being able to test things, being able to go to the local and just like, oh, is this gonna work? Oh well, if it doesn't, or like the one thing I do not want to do, and the one thing I absolutely hate doing, is stressing so much about one specific local because that local means everything to me. When you have so many locals. And Toronto, we just recently got an actual Toronto local now, which is really, really cool. We got a new TO out there. But having that one extra set of events every now and then, it just takes so much pressure
It adds up.
off of not only
It adds up.
feeling the need to attend that next event if you are going for Worlds, but you can now kind of say, I don't need to go to this event because I'm kind of set right now. I can always just go to the next one. There's going to be another one. There's another one close by. And literally, last Saturday was so weird for me because now I'm in a little bit of a different scenario where I'm kind of maxed on PC finishes, but I probably would have skipped it regardless because it's like I just don't need to go to that PC because I just have 3 other PCs that are a little bit easier easier for me to get to, and I'm gonna go to those instead. And I can just 3 of those a month rather than that 4th one. I don't necessarily need to head down there, but it's an option in case I do miss one or I choose to go to that one instead, right? Just having that
What
extra event on the docket is really, really nice.
What is your worst PC finish right now?
My worst PC finish is 19th, and that was the first PC I played in this season.
No, but out of your best,
Oh,
out of your
second.
6.
Second, I have 4 firsts and 2 seconds.
Okay.
That's baller.
Caller, shot caller. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think mine
So
is mine's top 8 for like my worst PC.
I have had a
finish. And,
very good local season. I've had a terrible
Yeah.
regional season, but I've had a very good local season.
I have 3 seconds and 1 top 8 for PCs.
Yeah, I've hit my best finish limit for locals, and I think a couple of those actually came from like
MSSs too?
no, not for MSSs.
I was
For
about to
MSSs,
say.
I still have yeah, not for MSSs, but for PCs. For
Yeah.
PCs, and
Yeah, what's your
it's
best
funny
finish?
because a couple of them have like, or a couple of the I think PCs that I'm getting like the that are on there are from like regionals. So like I like won
Okay.
the like Knoxville PC and stuff like, and then I think I got like top 8 out the Pittsburgh one or something.
Those are the harder ones to do it at too. Those are like the
Yeah.
sweaty ass ones
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, but like it's been a tough season for me because I'm like going through a lot of like just life busy stuff, and so like I don't have the time to make it out to every single local and stuff like that. But like I had more time like at the end of 2023, and I was able to make it out to a bunch of PCs. I have one MSS that I'm coming up on, and then pretty much it's just like I have UIC or Indie and one MSS, and that's all I have planned right now for the rest of the
Come down
year.
to New
I'm
York.
hoping
Bro.
we'll see. It's not really about location because I think there are more events.
Yeah.
But like there's like one this Saturday, but I'm going to Australia this Saturday for like visiting my
Yeah,
sister,
it's
so
far.
I can't even go. So it's just like I have a lot going on, but like having a bunch of those PCs where it's like okay, like if I miss this PC, like there's nothing gonna be there for me. Like I don't have that problem, which is really nice. Whereas like okay,
Yeah.
like I know there's a bunch of areas where like they don't have like they maybe have one PC every quarter, you know, like
That's
or one
rough.
MSS
Oh,
every
the
quarter.
PCG
So, like
store.
really trying to really trying to build up that local scene helps so many other people. Like just really talented players who can't go to a ton of like events. Like we were talking about this before. You could again with your best finish limits, you can get a 480 points out of 500
480.
from just locals, from just PCs, just MSS. So that's assuming you win all of them.
Yeah.
But you know, like you win 6 of each. But that being said, I mean, you can still get like pretty reasonably. You can get like 200 points. You know, like 250 from just locals if you do like well enough, right? And so like having a bunch of those options where you can even hit your best finish limit. A lot of people can't even hit the 12, you know, from MSS and locals because they don't have enough in their area. And obviously, it's hard to top cut every single one of them, get points from every single one of them. Some of us might, you know, top cut 14 in a row off comp. So
Now I get called out. What the? I get called out. Hold on.
But you know,
Why am I
the
getting
rest
called
of
out
us,
here? What's going on?
mortals, the rest of us
I have to
mortals
sweat. Dude, Chilling Neigh knocked me out at top 8 at the MSS. The same guy I lost to in the finals at the Long Island PC recently. Yeah, Chilling Neigh, you might know him from the recent Wolf video and being a kick-ass player and the Hartford Regional Champion and an amazing person and a really funny person to be around. Like, he's awesome. I can't say enough nice words about Chilling. And he goes, I hate the way you play Pokemon because I just paralyze him and Fiery Wrath, and it's just so much fun, like, just being around the local scene. But, yeah, no, the locals have been so much fun, and that's exactly why I was calling the Long Island stores. I was like, dude, we've been getting new players at Gotham Games, the one place on Long Island too. Like, let's try to build up the locals. But it's so cool to see the best finish limits. Dude, I have MSS on the 16th and the 17th, and the 24th and the 25th, I believe it is the Saturday, Sunday, or the 23rd, 24th.
23rd, 24th.
And
That's
it's just
Vancouver weekend.
Yeah, so it's like there's back-to-back double MSSs. And then
awesome.
the ones on Saturdays, it's MSS PC, MSS. MSS PC, MSS.
That's crazy.
And it's like really cool to see in the New Jersey, New York area.
Yeah.
It's like really cool to see. So if we could get even more events for next season, I'm going to be ecstatic about that. get the Long Island scene so we could try to have a Jersey MSS and a Long Island one. Like split the competition so it's not 7 regional winners at one.
The problem, the problem with that, Tommy, is you're gonna get to a spot where you're gonna run out of dates to put these events on, right? But like, I'd much rather have that. I'd much rather. Don't get me wrong. I would much rather have that problem, where we don't know where to put these events that we have the hosts for, much rather than the events where the problem where it's just like, yeah, we get 1 PC a month, because that's really sad. I absolutely love our local area. Right.
Take one for the team. Sign up to be a judge. Like, just try to get you and another person. If you guys could both do that and make 3 more events in your area just by doing that, or 2 more events a month in your area just by you and a friend signing up and helping each other out that way.
And obviously, guys, easier said than done, right? Obviously, it's not like...
Yeah, no, it's actually... Yeah. I'm not going to do it. That's just... Yeah, so...
But it definitely is something.
Yeah.
I'm calling the stores instead of signing up.
I want to transition a little bit to, so we were talking about this earlier, something we saw on Twitter, but people that like, so I think one great thing about having a lot of locals and going to a lot of locals is you play the same, you see the same people over and over, and you play the same people over and over, and you have a lot of fun matches, and it's always like, you see the name on the pairing, and it happens every single time, but you're like, oh my god, again for the millionth time, like we're facing off again, let's have another awesome battle.
And you're like, all right, where are we going to play?
Yep. Hey, you know what's up? Like, Table 7, let's go. You know what's up.
So who are the people, the players that are like those people for you that are you like, okay, I see them all the time, I play them all the time, and we always have like amazing sets at locals?
I have mine. Tommy, you want to go first?
Mezzi, Ofa Mezzi, shout out, love you, hate playing you. He would start just shadow balling when I had an Ndidi on the field, because he's like, this guy's not going to follow me. I've played him enough. Like, I know he's not going to follow me. And he would just start making crazy reads game 1s that would tilt me. I'd be like, what? How are you reading me like a book right now?
Yep.
He's like, I've played you enough to know exactly what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Like, we've played enough. Like, I played him in Puerto Rico. I played him in New Jersey. The first time we played was epic because he had calced for an Aqua Jet for his Mimikyu with Disguise busted, and I critical hit it. And I was like, I probably KO'd anyway. He's like, no, I calced for it. And then I saw him at a regional, and I was like, hey, how you doing? He's like, horrible. And then the next time I saw him was Portland, where he got 3rd. And then he came out to dinner with me, Darsh, and a couple other friends. And it was like really cool to like meet him that way. Chef Rich, I can't let Chef Rich not be talked about. He's my rival. I played him, I think, 6 times officially last season. 3 locals, Hartford for points. Winner of our match got 6-3 in points. Day 1 NAIC, day 2 NAIC. Yeah, Chef Rich was my rival last season. He's my rival. Not many grown men introduce someone as a rival, but when I see Chef Rich at a local and I'm like, hey, this is my rival, Chef Rich. Like, we're rivals. It's really fun. And like, Chilling is becoming one of those people that I played him in the finals now. He lost to him. I took game 1 of him in the top 8, and I think I had a good matchup. I needed to lean on Entei more than I did. I leaned on Comfey game 2 and 3, where my Entei really worked in game 1 where I won, but I didn't recognize that in the moment. I was talking with my carpool buddy on the way home, and we were like, because he was watching the game. He was like, hey, can I watch? I was like, fuck yeah. And we were talking about it on the way home, and it was like really cool to see the different, like perspective on it and be like, oh, crap. And there's a lot. There's actually a lot of players at my local scene that I've had the honor of playing a couple of times now. Paul Chua. I played him, what's it called? On stream at Brookland. It was on my Twitch account, which was so cool too. And he goes, oh man, I have a horrible side spam matchup, and he still kicked my ass. And then the next time I saw him, he's like, yeah, I really didn't want to play side spam. And I handed him the team. He goes, what? And then I self-paralyzed my Annihilate because I thought he was going to spore me, and he spored my Grimmsnarl. And I got fully paralyzed. And he goes, it was just really fun, And like now, like the fact that I played him twice at locals, like at MSSs both times, it's been really cool to see. Like, he's become one of those players that I've now got paired with multiple MSSs, and I'm expecting to get paired with at the next MSS we both go to because of that. Chilling Neigh, I expect to see in the top 8 if I make it the next PC I go to. And I'm honored to be playing these regional winners, international, so these caliber of players. The Chef Rich is a great player. He day 2'd NAIC with me last year. And it's like, I'm really honored to see how many kick-ass players I could play. I'm not even listing a lot of them. There's like so many guys like Kay Millie, Blake Silver, John Duran, There's so many good players right now. This guy Morgan, I met him. I knew his Twitter account, Cymore Comics, and dude goes 6-0 in Swiss and then 4-1 at the PC, just raked up. He didn't. I don't know what happened. I got to talk to him about what happened in top eight. Yeah, there's a player Rich Wan who's really fun. I actually never had the pleasure of playing him, but he got him in the top eight, I think. And then I don't know what happened in the PC because I left before it ended. And yeah, I couldn't be more blessed to be in the scene I'm at. And I really have been enjoying playing in the locals this year as someone that's not going to regionals as much. I went to Pittsburgh and I'm planning on going to LA if I can. Like I haven't looked up flights. When registration goes out, I'll start looking everything up and see if it's in the cards for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun and I'm so honored to play these guys and it's like really cool. Pengy used to be one of them. Now you're stuck with him, Conk. And,
Yeah, I played him a few times, and I'm gonna let Ryan go. But like, don't even get me started about Paul Chua. I faced him. I'm 0-4 against him, all at regionals. Once in top cut of Milwaukee. I don't even want to talk about Paul Chua. We can just move on. But it's the most one-sided rivalry in my life right now.
Man, for this podcast.
Conk, you sure you don't want to take a stab at this one?
I just honestly traumatic. Each one, like there's the closest one wasn't even close. So all right, Ryan, I'll let you go.
I took the game from him for us.
Good.
I played Paul Tua. Real quick story. I played Paul Tua in Atlantic City for my winning in 2019. It was September in 2019. And
didn't he win that one?
No.
So spoiler alert. Oh, okay.
No, spoiler alert, I lost. We would go to game 3 and I had just psyched myself out that Paul was going to make this incredible play. I don't know why. I was game 3. I'm like, Paul's going to do like this. I don't even remember what it was. And I'm like, Paul is going to cook this crazy play because I am playing Paul. And Paul, what does Paul do? Paul clicks Geomancy. I'm like, oh. I'm like, well, I was expecting some crazy thing, and it's like, nah, Paul just said, this guy's a scrub, I'm gonna win. And, like, he absolutely cooked me. But, like, back to the bracket.
That's the scary thing with playing players like that is, like, if you're playing a player of that caliber, even the most insane play in your head where, like, no one would ever do this.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. I
like,
came up with this crazy play where I'm, like, 4 turns ahead, and I'm like, he's gonna cycle this way, he's gonna come all the way back in, he's gonna come full circle, he's gonna get his Geomancy up. Now, I just clicked to turn 1, I'm like, oh. I got cooked.
That's self-paralyzing my ape and getting fully paralyzed. The attorney poured my Grimsky out, and I'm just like,
Yep. I remember, speaking of self-paralysis, back in 2022 with the restricteds, when the Kyogre Palkia, no, it wasn't Kyogre Palkia, it was Palkia Calyrex with the Amoonguss. Either way, whatever it was. Yeah. And I would actually, the game plan for me would be to side Thunderwave my Kyogre with my Grimmsnarl, so that way in Trick Room I couldn't get spored by the Amoonguss, and all I needed was to buy myself 2 turns to not get spored. So the game plan was actually to side paralyze myself to not get spored. That was the game plan, which I think is very, very wild, but we got a little bit off topic here.
And that's how I took game 2.
Yeah. Right. When it works, it's heat, right? It's cool when it's part of the game plan. But I love how we've deviated so much from the original question.
Yeah. All right. Let's get back.
Original question, though.
Yes.
Original question. We are talking about. Was it rivals or what was it? Cool play. What?
Yeah, rivals and locals.
Players that you play a lot locally.
Okay, this one I'm gonna go back in the day for this one. Obviously, guys, there is, for any of my locals that are watching, there's a lot of you. I'm not going to be able to shout you out, but one sticks out in particular, and this is one that when I first started playing this game, they were there, and they were going to beat me. For those that don't know, this is Nate, a.k.a. Mechanics Pokemon. Phenomenal human. Absolutely love seeing them at events. They did take a little bit of a break, but they're kind of around right now. They did to Toronto in this year, actually. So, regardless, and when I first started playing this game, I did not beat them. I mean, I did not beat them. Like, I'm talking, like, getting absolutely slaughtered, okay? And I think I remember I had the record at one point. I think the record at one point was, like, 1-12 versus them. And, like, I just didn't care that I was 1-12 versus them because it was just such a fun set every single time we played. And we were actually talking this past weekend at the last PC, it was the MSS, that like we were just going back in fun stories of when we played. So one time they had brought this really cool Paris trap team. This was back in 2019, and we get to game 3, and I make this crazy read. I'm like, okay, he's gonna double protect. I'm gonna side U-turn so I can switch my piece out, and we lock in our moves. I look at him. I go, "Did you double protect?" And he goes, "Yeah." So I kind of like do like a nice little, I do a little pop off, right? I'm like, "Yes,"
Yeah.
right? And he sees me click the side U-turn, and he just looks up straight in my eyes and goes, "You could have just switched." He didn't have the Gothitelle on the field. The trap was not activated. I could have just switched.
Love that.
And then there was another time I like put gunk shot into a Celesteela like 6 straight times, trying to call a switch, and it just never happened. But either way, like that's just someone really, really fun to play that I absolutely love about our local scene. I could say this for at least 5-6 players at this point, but I had to talk about the Nate there. It's just such a good little rivalry. I love it.
I love that though, that you're like, did you do this? I sometimes ask players that when I'm like really nervous about the play. Like I only do that when I did that to Wolf.
Yeah.
He's like, let's please not talk during the match.
Fair. That's fair. You know, you do have to read the room when you're doing that, but I think at this point it was like a 6-man PC because this was before the Ontario scene really kicked off. But like,
Yeah.
it was. I kind of just looked. I'm like, "Did you double protect?" He's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Let's go!" Right? I'm like, "Let's go!" And like, he just looks at me dead in the eyes and is like, "You could have just switched." And I'm like, "Oh shit!"
The funniest. That's the
Like
funniest
it was
reaction.
so funny, like for no reason whatsoever.
You
That's
could
so
have just
funny.
switched. Wait, Conk, who's the
Alright.
players for you though?
Mhm.
This is fun.
Yeah, I think like so the Massachusetts scene has been really fun, and I think like so I was going to a few locals early before like or in 2022 I want to say before they were like official locals. They were just like there was like some locals for like money and stuff like that. So I went to a couple of those, but the heavy hitters weren't like really coming to those as much. But then once we started getting official locals and stuff, I started kind of I feel like the local scene. I feel like I've really gotten ingratiated in more like just this year with like going to MSSs and going to PCs and stuff like that. And or this season, I'd say. So I shouted him out on Twitter, but young player who's was a senior last year. He was the Charlotte regional champion in seniors last year, but and then he got like 10th at Toronto, I want to say. But Zachary Weed, he's like this kid, but he's so good, and we faced each other like like we first faced each other at MSS in like Swiss, and he beat me, but like I think every single set we played goes like 3 games, and then like I faced him in Top Cut and beat him, and like and then we faced at a PC, I beat him. He just beat me at the MSS. So like we go back and forth like all the time, but like I don't know if we've ever had a set go less than 3 games. Like it is always insane. We're always like it's gone to the level of like okay, like he knows how I play, I know how he plays, so it's like okay, it's mind games on top of mind games of like okay,
Yeah.
he knows I know he knows, so like
Yep.
those have been a lot of fun. And then I've also faced like a couple guys like Adrian Hurley or like Holding Light. He's one of the
He's a
Lily
killer.
Pad boys, and I'm in that group. And so like he's a lot of fun, and he's always funny because it's like he always brings like the worst possible matchup for me, like just like some garbage match. Like I'll be like I ran Dozo, and then like he would run like Rest Dozo. That was like my auto loss matchup. And then like okay, like oh there was like I was running Psy Spam, but then he would run like Psy Spam with like stuff that was like tech to just beat me. I was like, there was like crazy stuff, but I'd always like I'd have to make like the most insane plays or just like break like the only time I ever brought solo Dozo with that like reg in Reg C, the only time I ever brought Dozo without Tatsugiri was when I played against him because I played him at a local and then I played him again the same matchup at a regional, and he cooked me at the local because he went to time because it was Rest Dozo and stuff like that. But I beat him in the regional, and I beat him in top cut of that local just by like honestly like pulling stuff out of like nowhere. So like those
Dude, that's the
matchups always
best feeling. That's such a
Yeah.
good feeling though. Like
Yeah. It's so funny when you go to an event like a regional and you face just like a player that you face at your locals. Like I always think that's just like you traveled all this way just
Yeah,
to face
just
like
to play a
have a
local.
match with Logan. That's always
I
really
got
funny.
that in London. I played Arbin, the New Jersey tournament organizer, and he's like, I haven't got to meet you yet. My name's Arbin. I heard a lot about you. I'm the New Jersey tournament organizer. I go, what? He goes, yeah, I know all the New York guys. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. pleasure to meet you. And that was my first time meeting him. He's like, I can't believe I
Yeah.
flew to London to play a New York guy.
I played two locals
Oh yeah, Canadians at Worlds,
at
right?
Worlds in 2019. What?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Oh, really?
How? One of
That's
which was
crazy.
my building partner, by the way. But that's besides the point. We don't need to discuss this, okay? But I remember, and at this point, this was, you guys know Binji, right? Like the
Yeah.
anyways,
Benji Wang?
he studied for
I
Toronto.
was the only loss in Swiss in the London
Yeah,
Open
he studied in
at the
Toronto
London Open.
in 2019, right? So he was actually a Toronto local, and at Worlds we were 1-2 at the 1-2 tables in 2019, and it was 1-2 or 2-2. I don't remember which one it was, and we played, and I sat down at the table. I looked at him and I said, okay, whatever happens here, whoever wins this is running it all the way back, and they're gonna make the run. They made the run. I lost. I got absolutely cooked. They made the run back. They brought it back to the winning in just to lose, and I was so sad. It was so close to actually happening.
They're a kick-ass player and a kick-ass human. He was
Yeah,
so kind to me after our match. We kept running into each other, and like really cool person.
Yeah. Well, definitely encourage everyone to get out to their locals and try to introduce more locals if you can. I mean, we're in crunch time. I feel like we're in the home stretch of like people getting their worlds invites of like we got two ICs left, a couple of regionals, and then just the rest of everyone's locals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
And to that point, all you have to do is to be approved if you run TCG events is submit a support ticket to the Pokemon company and say, I run Pokemon trading card events. There's an interest for video game events in the area. May I have PC and MSS privileges? And apparently they'll approve it. That's what the judges are telling me on Twitter. You could go look at my recent tweet where you could see the replies, and that's what I'm being told now. It's that simple. Just submit a support ticket and say, I currently run TCG events. There's interest for VG events in my area. Would I be able to get MSS and PC privileges? And they might have it by next quarter. They might have it by the April-June quarter to run PC and MSSs.
Yep.
That would be amazing. That'd be best case scenario. And if you could create an extra event or 2 or 3 events in your area just by calling one store, you really make a difference in someone's world invite. You could really make a difference in your local area. Like, I want to encourage everyone to take the time to do it if you have the time. And talk to the TOs. Talk to your local TO before talking to the stores, though. Like, get informed. Don't call them up and just ramble and not know what you're talking about. Make sure you're prepared for the conversation. Make sure you go to your local TO and say, what do I need to know? And call the stores and see what you could do to help facilitate it. Because I'm trying to help without getting my professor. Like, I want to play in the events. I don't want to judge the events.
Yeah, that's me.
You know, so it's like
makes sense.
that's why I don't.
Yep.
That's why I started the Tommy tours because I could play in them, the grassroots stuff that I could play in. You know,
Yeah.
so. If you're similar to me, please do that. I encourage everyone to do it because I've seen it make a difference in my area where I already have 2 stores that are down and 1 more that might be.
I want to really quickly touch upon something. And Conk, you were saying this is where people are starting to like seal off their world's invites, right? We're getting to that time. I just really want to point out, don't let other people, like, and this might seem really obvious, but it's a very easy trap to fall for. Don't let other people getting their invites make you think
That's
twice about if you're. Don't compare yourself to others. And I know it's very obvious and it's very easy to do, but the Canadian scene, we like to joke around a lot, right? We like to joke around as like, oh, I'm gonna get my invite first. Oh no, oh, you're so far ahead of me, right? But guys, at the end of the day, you only need the 500. Doesn't really matter who gets there first. You're gonna if you're
racing
on
yourself.
pace, you're on pace, right? It's not like it's a race to get there, right? Like, is it cool to look at? Is friendly competition awesome? Like, I know for sure. Like, obviously, me and Conk have that little thing going on, right? Like, having that friendly competition is awesome, but don't let someone don't let just be like, oh man, I'm never gonna get my invite. 3 other people at my local scene already have it. What am I gonna? I don't have my invite yet. I'm not good enough. Don't let that happen, guys. It's an easy trap to fall into. Keep playing the game. You're gonna get there. Keep grinding. Like, it's cool to have these friendly competitions. Maybe try to race someone to a certain spot. But it's not the end of the world, guys. At the end of the day, settle back down, calm down. Let's focus up on ourselves, our own personal goals, and go from there, right? Like, it's a fun little race to get if you can engage in them, but it's not the end all be all.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is the time where like the mental aspect of it is really important because it can be easy to be like, okay, like because everyone's gonna have different schedules in terms of events they can go to. Everyone's gonna have different like, formats that they thrive. Everyone's gonna have like different times in the meta that are good for them, whatever it is, or just a good day at a tournament. So like the goal is 500. Whether you get 700, 500, whoever like other people have more points than you doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're all going to the World Championships. So you just need to get to that 500, and there's still time for sure, and there's still plenty of events. More so saying like this is the time to really get your mind right and to lock in if you need to lock in and secure that invite. And we'll see in a few weeks here. We're gonna the race between me and Save is gonna really ramp up when he's got
No,
Vancouver. I got
not.
UIC.
Bro, you're gonna win. You have EUIC. This isn't like in
No,
my
I'm-
mind.
I should.
He's
If
got
I'm gonna
Vancouver.
get my game plan is get it at Vancouver. I'm gonna be
Yeah, he
honest.
should be at Vancouver.
My game plan is to get my invite at Van. So
Okay, so I'll shut up. I'll shut up. Get it, Ryan. You got this, bro.
I also
What
have
do
a
you
chance
say?
at getting it before Vancouver if I want to
Right?
drive 3.5 hours to two MSSs next weekend. So see if I want to do that or
That's
not. We'll
amazing.
see. Because having my invite going
what's
into Vancouver would be a lot of stress off my shoulders at Vancouver. So we'll see.
What are you sitting at for points?
416.
416. Okay, yeah. See, I'm still back at 366, so 50 behind right now. But we'll
We're
see.
getting there.
We'll
We're
check
getting
in.
there.
Yeah, we'll check in. Okay. Well, I know we were planning on the game, but we kind of ran a little bit longer with the other conversation, which I think it was great, anyways. So I think we can wrap it up here. But any last thoughts, guys, before we kind of head off?
No, keep
There we go.
grinding, guys. That's it. Just keep on the grind. Keep your head up. Enjoy the game. I think because that's something that's easy to forget at this time, all right? And it's very easy to forget why we play this game. Like, yes, we're trying to get to our goals. Yes, we're trying to win worlds, but I don't know. At the end of the day, we're Pokemon fans, and I don't know. It's nice to sit back for a second and realize, man, I really do love this game. So remember why you're playing the game. Don't let the stress get to you. That's my one thing here. Close out your invite if you're going for it. If not, close out the rest of the season. Have a blast doing so. And yeah, that's my suggestions right now.
No, I'm not letting us go before we talk about Fluttermane being the 6th most used mon in day 2.
It was called a special event for a reason, Tommy. Let it go.
No, I'm not letting us. We need to
It's
touch
gonna
on
be
that
back
before we go.
top 2 or top 3, and it'll be
That's really
like
the take. It's just a
it'll be
fluke. It's just a
instant in
Utrecht special event.
I don't think it's a fluke. I do think it probably deserves to fall off a tad bit. I do think we're finding the right counterplay to it right now. But I think 6 is a very big fall off. It's still an incredibly strong Pokemon. I don't see it ever going lower than that. I mean, granted, you guys could look at the
6
Vancouver.
was 40%. It was 40.8%.
That's what I'm saying. It's still 40%. Like, that's ridiculous.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's 6th place. That is 6 Pokemon at plus 40% usage. That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hello? So, I'm glad we touched on that. All right, I said my piece.
All right. Well, let us know where you think Fluttermane will land in Vancouver. We'll have another episode
comment.
before that.
Comment below.
We'll still have one more. We still got one more pod before Van, though. So.
And
Absolutely.
actually,
All right,
wait,
well,
in the comments, tell me where you think Fluttermane would like to vacation. Where do you think the best vacation spot for Fluttermane is?
Love to
Please
hear
put that in the comment section.
love to hear that. Love to hear that. Well, as always, everyone, thank you so much for listening. We will
Like,
catch you
subscribe.
again in
Like and subscribe. Like and
Please
subscribe.
subscribe. Everything helps us.
Yeah.
Everything helps us. All right. Well, thanks everyone, and we will catch you again in 2 weeks.
See ya.
Love you.